Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Oakland Athletics. In our previous episode, we got beat in the playoffs. And worse, it's because our amazing super closer melted down in the ninth inning, which is not a great look for us. We take a look at the box score here. Yeah, first of all, you shouldn't have pitched 2 innings. It looks like what really happened is our starter got chased early, and that caused this cascading effect where everybody had to work harder. He should not have been in there for that second inning, though. We should have switched another pitcher or, yeah, something. Anyways, we also could have just fucking scored a run after the fifth inning. That would have helped a lot. Anyways, friends, a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. I'm setting the end of this series at 25 years of managing. Now I'm not going to end this save. Instead, if by the end of year 25 there hasn't been an expansion triggered, I'm going to manually trigger one. And we're going to take over an expansion team, which should be a really fun and interesting challenge in this environment. I'm looking forward to how that'll work out. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that I very clearly stated in the beginning here. Unless, of course, the game rolls an expansion. Speaking of expansion, I want to talk a little bit about the playoffs. We presently have, it's way harder to see that in this thing here. So we have 5 teams here, 6 teams here, 5 teams here. No, it's 5 in all of them, isn't it? 5, 5, 5. And 5, 5, 5. Yes, because the only thing that happened is the Kansas City Royals moved to Columbus for some reason. So just 30 teams. We're not going to change playoff numbers yet. Not until we expand. So, that being said, what are we going to try to do today? We're going to try to build... So, I was thinking about this as I booted up the game. Do we consider this a successful run or a not successful run? Here's the points in our favor. 18 out of 22 years we've made the playoffs. We won 3 world championships, and if we look at our manager's history, we've also been to the World Series 1 additional time. However, our most common scenario is losing early on. We don't have much postseason success. Which, and you're probably like, but you have 3 world championships. Understood. And that is a true fact. But you know what 3 World Series isn't? It's not 5 or 6. We have been to the playoffs so many times that the dice should have rolled a little bit more in our favor than they have been. I don't know how to fix that. And that is partially a bug, or a feature, not a bug, because we're just the general manager. There's very little I can do to make the players play better. I can't get out there, slap the manager upside the head, and say, hey, fuckhead, put this guy in. I can try to do that, but it's the nature of the beast. I found it hard to say that we're not a successful team, but I think it's also fair to say that we're underachieving. And I think part of this has been we haven't had the big frontline starters that have taken over a playoff series, which is something you kind of have to have a really great postseason. Now, here's our saving grace as I quickly fix all this bullshit. Is that player may already be on the roster. Say hi to Mike Ellie. Now, Mike Ellie will also be coming back from a fairly serious injury. Basically Tommy John surgery, and I am... What did I do? Oh, I picked high A twice. And so he may not come back at 100%. He may not even come back at 60%. There's a lot to be concerned about there, but if he does come back, I think he is that starting pitcher we're desperately needing. Wilfredo Rivera had a really good season before he got hurt. And keep in mind, we drafted him into the 14th fucking round, so already we're way ahead draft-wise of that. I do think I want one veteran starter. I think one of the things they've lacked is high level starting depth. And I think a quality starting pitcher that could stop us from using, say, fucking RJ Edwards, for instance. Not RJ Edwards, sorry, Steve Peralta would be pretty good. Has Yedelson Divini been a success? On the one hand, we got him for a very cheap salary. On the other hand, there's just something about him that just isn't successful. And it's really hard to look at these numbers and sit there and say, yes, this is why he sucks, or this is why he doesn't suck. He is a bit home run prone, but last year's peripherals are actually pretty good. He just got hit harder for some reason. For whatever reason, maybe the defense wasn't good enough, maybe he was just asleep at the switch, who knows. He's screwed up. Now, we're only 2 years removed from a pretty darn good year in 2042. The question is, was there something crazy that happened that year? Yes. By far the lowest home run rate of his career. So, as is so often the case, I don't think a return to 2042 is reasonable, but I do think a return to either 2040 or 2041 might be possible. Because the bat was just out of the fucking world this year. He just got really unlucky. Or we need to upgrade the defense potentially. One of those two things should definitely help him be a better pitcher going forward. I'm starting to call it a loss in terms of money. Because remember, at 8 million a war, roughly, we're on pretty good pace to get pretty decent value. And his contract is low enough that we could trade him in the next season or two if we needed to. Position player wise, we've got some talented players. We're gonna lose Ishmael Alanis. Nelson Vigil's gonna get a full season. Call this the curse of Peyton Green. We haven't had a truly effective third baseman since Peyton Green was traded. And then we brought him back later on, but even so. If he performs to his offensive peak, we're going to have a franchise cornerstone in Mr. Vigil, which is really exciting news. That is an if, though, and it's certainly not a guarantee, but I have some faith in my franchise to get him, to help him get his shit together. I don't know what to do about Sean Lewis, or Sam Lewis, sorry. No, Sam Lewis actually had a really good year, never mind. I was thinking of somebody else. It's tough. I really want to get Sean DeWitt out of center field. I really want him out of center field. Not saying that because it makes him a bad player. He's an amazing player, but the fact is, I guess he's like an average defender. We can keep him in center, I suppose. If that's what needs to happen. If we're gonna upgrade the offense, we have corner outfielder, always a possibility. Designated hitter, Mr. Jacober was decent, but we could probably do better. We need a new second baseman unless we try to re-sign Alanis, which we'll come back to that. Do we move on to first base? Do we look at Brad Rice and say it's not worth it anymore? It is hard to argue we've gotten enough out of first base, actually. While it's lovely that he draws a lot of walks, he doesn't hit for enough average, and his power has been somewhat suspect. Josh Lynch is done. I think I've already ruined him by not giving him more major league opportunities. I'm just going to trade him for literally anything that I can get. Josh Lynch is not the answer to the question in the slightest. I will leave it on everything. If we can get a really good player, I don't mind taking on some salary. If we can get a really good player. Mike Morgan is not worth the price he's commanding. If Boston ate some or all of his salary, I'd consider it, but that's a hard no so far. No, not for a player on the wrong side of 30. I don't think so. Same for Leonis Harper. Not interesting. Alright, I am not getting interesting players at all. I'm gonna switch this to prospects and see if there's like a longer term play here. There are some really, really uninteresting players being offered to me. I can't say that I care for it very much. Like, I guess Opina's value is that he's a good defender, but he's not a great defender. I don't know how I feel about that, and they're all terrible hitters. Maybe Soph will give me Purvis and Ospina. Make me feel somewhat better. Not a lot better, but somewhat better. You look awfully nice. Oh, wow. Used to be my player. That was a mistake, it seems. What did I get for you? Mike Baccio? That was a fucking screw up. Man, I feel bad about that one. He would be an amazing player to have on our team right now. Um, Andy Wardlow shifted over first base and make a pretty nice player. Potentially. Is that even possible? The thing is, I can't give up Juan Pineda because I don't know who's going to play second base for me next year. Which means keeping him around is pretty important. I'll add on Ted Jeffries. And I will submit the offer. Maybe they'll take it, maybe they won't. Who knows? Coaching. We need a new third base coach and a new pitching coach. In terms of chemistry, basically anything is going to work and anything is also going to fail. So, staff wise, I really need a good teacher. So that everything is going to be done, especially if really good at base running, would be a lovely thing to add in. Let's look at our existing managers. So we have Barrett Aston. Aston is a really well-rounded coach. Um, a really well-rounded coach, and he turned our AAA team into something that's actually pretty formidable. How would he get along with our present roster? Pretty damn well. Yeah, I think we just promote Barrett Aston to third base coach. Done. That's an easy choice. Mr. Jose Perez, you get a promotion to AAA coach. Nick Tassone, I think, can have himself a promotion. I mean, pitching coach in the AAA Pacific Coast League isn't really a promotion, one might argue. Michael Cooper is instantly promoted. Bennis is promoted. Oh right, Bennis won't take it. Bennis isn't considered that a promotion. Lara's decent. What about Derek Jones? Derek Jones is a manager. He's not really a pitching coach. So I guess I'll promote. No, I'm gonna try to hire some. No, I'm gonna use Lara. I'm gonna waffle for a bit, but then I'm gonna just promote Lara, and then I can just hire a new rookie pitching coach, which is no problem. I would love Charles Bassford. I think he'd be an ideal candidate for our rookie league pitching coach because of that mechanics boost. And then I do need a manager. Um, here, Leighton Hiller is decent, but I kind of like the idea of letting of us getting some continuity there. Clealpha is a much better coach. I think we're going to promote him to Double A manager. Done. And then A. Pedro Martinez or A. Derek Jones. I'm going to promote Derek Jones, and we'll get another pitching coach. And then let's add in, if we can get really greedy and get Abel Gonzalez, that would be fantastic. Done. Let's go ahead and set up our teaching regimen. I do want Caballero. Oh, we still have him who's good at base running. Oh well. They're very similar coaches, which is interesting. Yeah, what we have is we have very diverse personalities, and the problem is we have very diverse personalities. It's hard for us to get any one manager that's going to change things in a significant way. We sometimes throws like normal, for instance, but it's fine. We could have more chemistry, but I'm not that concerned about it. We have two people that have really good relationships with the players, which includes Steven LaRude and our bench coach Caballero. Um, Arbitration time. Um, I'm not paying you $20 million, even if you did have a pretty good season. So here's my question. I've mulled this over with for about a week now. Here's my issue with bringing back Alanis. The number one issue is the number in the age column. The number two issue is the amount of money that he wants. What really concerns me is the fact he hasn't slipped in any conceivable way yet, except like very tiny bits here and there. I think he's due for a crash. I genuinely believe that if we handcuff ourselves to Alanis for anything more than 1 year, that we're hurting ourselves. The thing is, he wants 3 years, and I don't want to give him 3 years. That's the crux of our issue here. I could give him a really fat 1 year salary for like 40 million. I don't think I have $70 million available for an extension. That is a true statement, but I don't want to piss away a sizable percentage of that on one player. No. Final answer. If we can sign him for less, we'll try it later on, but I think we've gotten what we wanted to out of him. I'm not paying him that much money. I refuse. Categorically refuse. Andy Daly is getting non-tendered unless I can trade him for a decent return, which I probably can, but I'm going to trade him first. But I'm not going to keep him. I'm going to non-tender him if nobody gives me anything for him. He's just gotten too many. He's gotten too many opportunities that he has done nothing with. For whatever reason, even I change him into a reliever to boost his stuff up a little bit, he's an average reliever. I can replace that easily. Goodbye, Andy. It feels like giving up on Jesus Barrera now is giving up on him too quickly. Like he was literally he was so bad as a hitter that he went into the negatives. And he doesn't have a lot of range, which makes him a less than ideal infield candidate. Fuck, maybe I'll let him walk too. Surely somebody will give me something for Mr. Barrera, though. I feel relatively strongly somebody will want to give up some. No, they don't want to either. Then we're just gonna non-tender him too. I will find a second baseman in free agency if I have to. Bardales is very clearly getting capped. There's no disputing that. Yes, he had a big down year, but on the whole, he's been a really good pitcher, and I'd like to keep him around. So Bardalis, welcome back to the Oakland A's. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Done. Sean Mintz. This is an interesting debate to have. Ken Armstrong is clearly a better hitter than him. Well, potentially he's a better hitter than him. Armstrong is interesting because his only tool is contact and not striking out. But he's a pretty good handler of a pitching staff. I do think a larger role for Ken Armstrong might be suitable. Because here's my issue with Sean Mintz. His only skill is drawing walks, and he's not even doing that at a very high level anymore. And he's not that much better defensively than Armstrong. I'm trading Mintz. And we can try to pick up, like, hell, I'll even use fucking Joe Stock as a backup catcher if I have to. More than happy to do that. But I'm not going to keep Sean Mintz, especially if I can flip him for an interesting asset or two. What did I just do? I just literally changed his... Oh, I can't shop anymore. Understood. Finish today. I'm not giving you Bardalis. What are you asking for in addition? You're asking for some pretty mid players? You can have a catcher that can't catch. That seems good. Done. Josh Lynch was never going to get a spot on this roster, so that was a pretty easy choice for me. Now I'm going to flip Sean Mintz and hope that somebody sees a reasonably good starting catcher and decides, I want a piece of that. I'm not taking Mike Morgan. Stop that. I already looked at Harper. I wasn't impressed then. I'm certainly not impressed now. I don't want Dave McCormick. Um, Ramiro Ramirez is a terrible catcher. That's never happening. Nice try, but no. Lame, lame, lame. So much lame. I don't want a sidearming right-handed reliever. That's throws at a weird arm slot. That seems like a bad choice. I don't want Mike Donahue. Look, here's the thing. Even if I got them to eat a substantial part of his salary, he's already on the wrong side of 30, and he's never been that great a player when he has gotten opportunities. So I think we'll pass on that. I mean, Mike Valario wouldn't be a terrible addition. Let's go with that. How good is Alfredo Estrella? Could be really decent, actually. Oh, fuck you. No, I will put some chips in for Osmond. Let's try to see if we can't grab Osmond, because he would instantly be our starting second baseman. His arm strength is terrible, but other than that, he's a really good player, and he's ready for the major leagues like right now. Who am I willing to give up? I'd start with Edgar Ibarra. That doesn't move the needle. Sam Blakely's low future control. I'm comfortable with trading that. What do I drop Valarial and just try to get Osmond? No, that's not going to happen. Okay. That's fair. I really don't want to come up with just one player, but that may end up being what I have to do. That's way overpaid. Dave McCormick is extremely overpaid. I guess I'll just take Valario. Maybe try to get him to eat some of his salary. What if you ate his entire salary? What would I have to throw in to get you to eat his entire salary? You're fucking delusional, man. There you go. Damn it. Come on, fucker. Yeah, you're gonna get a really good offer from somebody. I can't be upset at you for that. That was always kind of a Hail Mary anyway. What about Tyler White? No, Flair Gonzalez is better because he's got that development bump. There you go. How ridiculous is your trade demand? Yeah, you're fucking delusional. No, thank you. Who's Everett Collis anyway? You're my assistant chimp. You're my assistant chimp. I would give you an extension if you wanted it. You're doing a pretty good job. I will give you 150 grand. I'll give you 250 grand. Your domains are still ridiculous. Um, Submit offer. You know what? Fuck you. Clear offer. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. You're being fucking stupid. I can get a mediocre player for basically no money. So this needs to end. Or I guess the real question is, do we find a player that I actually want and try to include Sean Mintz as a sweetener? That might be a better choice. Um so we're gonna take a look now and we're gonna try to find ourselves a second baseman. To be at least 55 overall. Search. Should be plenty of options here. How do you have this many second basemen? Like, holy hell, Cubs. Um, I'd love either one of Rangel or Elias. Rangel's probably more of a first baseman, to be honest with you, but he could hold his own at second. Um, I think Elias is my favorite one, though. Let's keep looking. Chris Carr would cost us like all of the money, and he wouldn't really be worth it, in my opinion. Castillo's not that interesting. I could see Montez. I just don't see us being able to afford that. I mean, you're probably eager to get rid of his salary, but I don't want to. I don't want to ruin the farm that badly. Acevedo's a very good second baseman, but he's not that good a hitter. If I could get Acevedo for a relatively low cost, I would consider that. Could get Chris Hughes back. That'd be interesting. Reunite him with the old gang. Mike Young would be a phenomenal player, but I don't think we can afford him. Oh, he would be so good in that lineup, though. He'd be really good. But he's on the wrong side of 30, and I think he's just going to decay. You're a very good player, but you're not really a second baseman. I'm not going to get Luna back. That would be silly. I could get Alani's. No. Devon Lardy would be a pretty nice player. I could see going for that. I just don't know that he will agree to come to us, but let's try it. If I start with Sean Mintz, what kind of attitude does that give you? How enraged would you be if that's where I started? Yep. They all want RJ Edwards, and they're not going to get him. Prospects. I will offer Blakely. Because I don't think Blakely's going to be that great a pitcher. Yeah, it's not moving the needle at all. I think that's going to be the hardest issue is that teams are just way too eager to keep their great players, which is understandable, of course, but I'm either going to take on a bunch of salary or I'm going to have to hope I get lucky. Eh, I don't know how I feel about Steve Nielsen. Free agency honestly might be the play, unless I can find a really good choice here. Rodolfo Romero, I already know what I'm getting in him. I mean, Joe here is a tremendous second baseman, but he's also expensive as fuck. I don't know that that really does much for me. I would take Nate George as a first baseman, but something tells me they're going to want something reasonable in return that I'm probably not prepared to give up. You'd never give him up, would you? Again, everyone's RJ Edwards. That is the one thing I'm not prepared to give up. And the thing is, offering someone like Blakely isn't moving the needle at all, which makes it basically impossible to make this trade. I'm gonna have to hope that somebody's so desperate for something else I have to offer that, like, this is dumb on the part of the Cubs. They're putting in way too many assets in just one position. Um, Billy Henderson isn't a second baseman. Brad Matthews isn't either. I mean, Chris Carr would be an interesting choice to be sure, but that's also a lot of fucking money. Like, that is a shit ton of money. But damn, he's special. Just to kick the tires on Chris Carr, what are we talking? Literally nobody. Yeah, that's fine. Blah. There just aren't any good trade options. Point blank, there just aren't. I could probably get Chris Hughes for a song. I'm not worried about that, but what I am worried about is him actually being any good anymore. I mean, I guess he'd be at least a decent reserve player. What are you actually wanting for? Oh, I can't trade for him. Oh, because he's gonna be a free agent. I could just sign if I really wanted him that badly. I mean, I like players like this, but I also don't see them wanting to give him up. Oh, now they're only taking one of my two best prospects. Fuck off. Everyone just knows how bad they need a second baseman, I think, and they're just trying to hold me over a barrel and force me to either take on their shitty contracts or. No bueno. I'm just gonna go for a free agent. Fuck it. What about corner outfielders or first baseman? And I'm gonna get a little bit greedy. I want at least uh 60 contact and 60 power to even consider it. Wow, I completely fucked myself with that. Ironically, I have two of those players, which is pretty great. But yeah, no one's gonna give me anything else. And I don't want a guy like Ramos because he's so old at this point. Could look for power and batting eye. I do get more options if I do it that way, but not very many more. It's former A, Ben Schmidt. Chris Orr is too weird a player. Walks and homers are nice, but the fact he doesn't make a lot of contact, I don't know about that. We can try, but I have a feeling they're going to want something pretty substantial, and I'm not going to give that up. We're going to go for free agency, I think, or maybe check the trade block and see if there's somebody specifically that's up that I find interesting. But I don't think we're going to make the kind of deal we're looking for because I just don't think we have the prospects for it. Yeah, see what's being offered. They're all really bad players. Another year of Sean Mintz isn't the end of the world. That's what ends up happening. But I don't want him starting. I'd rather have Anderson start because I just don't see Sean Mintz offering very much. I'm going to go and set you to being on the block as well. And we're going to advance time a little bit and see if I get any offers for you. We got Bassford, which is lovely. And we got Gonzalez. Beautiful. I'm going to take a celebratory drink of water. Oh, Ted Jeffries, I have to sign you somewhere, don't I? I'm going to put you in AAA. And then you two jokers are both going to go to AAA. Done. I think I held on to Sean Mintz too long, and now most of his value is gone. Do we get any cool awards? Probably not. I got a Silver Slugger for DeWitt. That's cool. I hope Sean DeWitt eventually gets at least one MVP trophy. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I'm gonna go ahead and offer Sean Mintz a 1 year deal. Like, I do want to keep him for now, even if I don't want him to start anymore. Especially if I can later turn him into a better asset down the line. Yeah, he wants to really get paid. Really willing to give him that though, but sure. Look, a lot of this season's success is going to come down to Nelson Vigil and Mike Ellie. And if they both suck, I don't really see us having a way around that. We'll vote for Francisco Alvarez and Jonathan Bautista. I'll toss a vote toward Largo Corticelli, which is a pretty great name. Jackson Chorio, I'll give him a look. I gotta vote for Peyton Green. I have to. He's my friend. I will vote for Alejandro Kirk. Sure. I won't be the reason Andres Munoz doesn't make the Hall of Fame. Edgar Caro. Julio Rodriguez should have gotten in a while ago. That is a fantastic nickname. You're in just for that, Kevin. I'll toss a vote toward Paul Skeens. Tucker Tillman and Bobby Witt Jr. both seem like pretty obvious Hall of Fame choices. James Wood, sure. I'm gonna vote for Zebby Matthews. Submit ballot. Done. So any significant upgrade is going to have to come through free agency. That's the number one thing we're going to have to consider is free agency. All right. So what are we shopping for? Possibly first base. Hang on. Let me fix it so it's my scouting things and not other people. Okay. Shopping for following things. Potentially first base, potentially, actually, definitely second base. Although Sergio Creo wouldn't be terrible if we had to let him play second base for a year. So first base, middle infielder, corner outfielder, second base. First base, middle infielder, corner outfielder, starting pitcher. That's what I'm looking for. I don't think so. No, he's really attractive for a lot of reasons, but I don't like his injury proneness. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. He's got good discipline, decent contact, doesn't strike out nearly as much as you'd think, but for some reason in Boston, he's been kind of disappointing. I need to be more cautious before I start dumping a bunch of money in. This is an easy choice. I don't know what his future is, but it cost me no money to find out, so we're gonna jump in on this super quick. Done. Oh, let's look at second base. Steve Crawford is not a second baseman. He is a good player, but he's not a second baseman. And I'm not willing to commit that much money to a first baseman who doesn't hit for power. I think a reunion with Chris Hughes makes a little bit of sense purely from a let's get a reasonably good backup infielder. So let's offer him. Oh, Disney want a major league contract done. Oh, let's get defense at 2B. All right. Eh, not that impressed. I hate it when one player's got all the fucking leverage. Like the thing is, Lanis is very clearly the best second baseman on the market. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any more with that. He's gonna get so much money from somebody. We're just gonna have to hope we can get lucky. Carlberg is a really good defender, but he's a terrible, terrible hitter. Might be the best we can do, though. I could see Jamie Cornell for a year. Sure. I'll sign Mr. Cornell for a year. But not 3 years. Not unless I get a team option in there. Alright, I'm fine with that. Okay, we're going to look at all batters, and we're going to look at the best pure hitter in this free agent class. Yeah, that would be a fantastically stupid decision to sign him on, especially given his age. It's old friend Danny Espinosa and Danny Isaacson. I remember both of those guys. I feel like with Josh Norton, we're playing with fire a little bit because we do have home runs being suppressed in our park. But he's also clearly the best hitter on this market. So we've got two infielders. We've got a potential cheap corner infield outfielder. Jorge Reyna wouldn't be a terrible choice. He's not the worst. He's not good, but he's not the worst either. Like the best overall hitter is very clearly Julio Rosario. Very clearly. But he's ridiculously injury prone. And that's why I would feel pretty stupid if I signed him to a big deal. What does he even want? He wants a gigantic deal. No, thank you. Bringing back Dennis Sonosa to play first base isn't the worst idea I've heard. He's not that far off from some of his better seasons with us. I could throw him a soupçon of an offer potentially. This is not a great class for hitters. Chris Volker costs me nothing, so I'll happily go ahead and offer him a deal too. All right, what about a starting pitcher? What do we got? Dancer is way out of our price range. I don't think he's worth it. I don't think spending that much money is a worthwhile idea. Although it would give us a significant upgrade in the rotation. No, that's too much money. I'm sorry. I can't do that. Afraid I can't do that, Dave. Now, Mike Davey, I could get behind. He's been a really rubber-armed pitcher. His scouting has actually stayed pretty stable over the past couple of years. I think he'd be a fine choice on like a 3-year deal with a team option. He is smug, but more importantly, he is a reliable arm, and I think he'll be pretty handy. Um, yeah. I feel reasonably good about this. I could also be persuaded to grab a cheap reliever if there's an interesting one. Josh Martin could be a nice little arm for the pen. What are we looking at actually for bullpen right now? Most of my prospects are a couple years away. Um, he'd be an upgrade over at least 3 pitchers. So I do think bringing on Mr. Martin to stabilize the bullpen would be a pretty good idea. Done. All right, that felt like a pretty good free agency beginning. Let's go up to the winter meetings. Oh, quite right, quite right. There we go. We're just gonna sim a week and see what kind of offers come in. That is a mistake. He is not an interesting pitcher. Thank you, though, but no, rejected. Hard reject. I mean, you're not wrong, JP Ricciardi, but also let's not fucking forget the New York Mets who haven't won shit despite spending disgusting amounts of money. All right, Mike Davies signed with us. That gives us a really reliable arm in the rotation. I'm properly happy about that. We if anything, we might have too many arms now, but that's a great problem to have, as we've already noticed over time. That we've actually struggled with seeing players. How much did Alani's earn? Alani's got fucking paid. Man, all I wanted from him was a 3-year deal. What a jackass. This whole fucking time, he's like, no, I don't want a 3-year deal. Oh, I'll take a 3-year deal from Cleveland, though. Man, fuck you guys. Fuck you in particular. That annoys the shit out of me. I mean, I don't want Josh Martin to be a star one to be a reliever, but sure. Which one did he earn? Yeah, he got paid quite a bit. I don't want your 40-year-old shitty outfielder. No, thank you. Declined. Um, I was gonna check a thing. Just will run out of my head. It's fine. Yes, Rule 5. That was it. I probably need to give Jeff Cleveland a chance to earn a role on the team. I think he's an interesting enough player that that's worthwhile. I really hope we can get an interesting player in the Rule 5. I think that's going to be pretty important. Oh, right. Sorry, Josh. AAA with you. Like we've got to land either an impact reliever or a decent hitter in the Rule 5. That's my goal. And I literally just lost Josh Martin, who I just acquired. Oh well, that's fine. I mean, Chris Eaton is both younger and better than he was, so I feel like this is actually a stealth upgrade if we take him, which I think we will. Done. Are there any interesting hitters in this draft? Eh, let me sort by batting ratings, current batting ratings. I mean, adding Joe Marfo to provide some competition isn't a terrible idea. He's a pretty decent all-around hitter. I could see that working out for us. Let's do it. Oh, my 38-man roster's full, isn't it? That's my issue. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and waive Gordy McGath. He's not that interesting anyway, and I can definitely find better pitchers. Now I can add Marfo if I want to. There you go. That feels good. Second base defense. Ah, guy sucks. And you're all like terrible hitters that are like marginally interesting defenders. I could see Ken Kane being a good addition actually. But I think we'll pass. I think I got what I wanted to out of the Rule 5. Now, Mr. Cornell does need a 38-man roster spot. So, goodbye, Chessie Tidwell. I'm going to try to trade Tidwell real quick. Literally any prospect. I just want him off my roster. No? Okay. Because Cornell has the inside track right now on starting in the major leagues. And Tidwell and McGath both have to clear waivers before they can be sent to the minors. I get that Andy Daly was like the one guy everybody loved. Like Phoenix is at 84. It's still fantastic. Like settle the fuck down. Yes, you both need to be assigned to AAA. There we go. Hall of Fame voting results. Oh, that's amazing news. That Rivera's coming back quickly. That's great. Tolman, Whip, Munoz, and Rodriguez all made it in. Good for them. Good for them. Nelson Vigil's a bust. I think we're in very, very serious trouble. All players, please. I mean, Mauricio Sierra is a terrible fielder, but he's a really good hitter. Luis Rivera is an elite hitter with elite power potential. That's really attractive, actually. Could I get them both? I could try. I could absolutely try. Let us advance time and see if we get one or either of them. I'm gonna wait another week and then I'll come back to Rivera if. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for Sierra to sign. I cannot give you that much money. Literally impossible. I'm gonna give Lucelle a contract. Oh, never mind. I have 2.7 million left to spend. How about Andres Trevino? No, he won't sign with me, I don't think. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. What about Rodolfo Osorio? I will give you my entire budget to sign with me. That's the kind of dude I am. Ask for response, submit offer. You fucking jackass. Well, it's gonna cut your budget. That's fine, right? It's not fine, jerk. Jerk. Unbelievable. What a jerk. Yeah, fuck you, Osorio. I don't need another player that badly anyway. Could have really used an improvement for fucking um Vigil. Would have been great. All right. We're gonna go ahead and just start chucking people onto the spring training roster. Fulser, Spalding, Stock, Espinosa, Burnett. Where's Seward? Oh, Seward's already on the roster. Got it. Brandon Bays is a big boy, but I don't know how good he's going to be in the future, but maybe. None of the low minors guys have earned. I will go ahead and add Bays and McCollop. Why the frick not? We've got the spots. Let's get some spring training in, gentlemen. Tally Wallies. How long is Ali still out for? He'll be out. He'll be back before spring training is up, so we'll revisit then. Don't know that the lineup is better now. Losing Alani's hurts a lot, but I wasn't going to be able to give him what he wanted. I think I'll need to come back and start kicking the tires on players later on in the free agent process. I tend to only bid that first day, and if I don't get somebody, then I don't get somebody. Ika got better, Edwards got better, Dennis, Laws, Bays all got better. Trudell got slightly better, I guess. Caceres got better, sort of. Really? You fucking jerk. Okay. I guess it's okay not to with a fractured hand. I still think you should go out there and play anyway, though. You've got two hands. Just use the other one. It's science. It's just science. Ironically, we're probably looking at Chris Hughes being your starting day, your opening day second baseman, which is pretty funny. Definitely not expected. Next week. Eh. Okay, games are all done, which means hopefully no more injuries are possible. Let's get the opening day roster set. We have how many pitchers? We have 20 pitchers. That is far too many pitchers. Far, far too many. Check out this fucking rotation, though. That thing is wild. JV Edwards, Ellie, Rivera, and Stoll. And Stoll might be the worst of the bunch. That's awesome. I love it. So going to the minors will be Divinny? Maybe. Tassie and Vargas are definitely getting waived. Mojica's getting waived. I'm gonna send Dennis. No, I'm gonna send Onwaniyu down. That's good. That leaves me at 16 pitchers. I get rid of 3 more pitchers. That's entirely too many pitchers. Divinity to the minors isn't a terrible choice to start the year. Let's do that. Oh, you already have too much time with the team. Okay. Portland to the minors is a definite. Raleigh to the minors. I'm gonna try to trade Divinity. I don't think it's gonna make much of a difference. Like I don't think anyone's gonna help us out, but they might. They might. I'll even do it for like a veteran if I can get the right player. No. Thank you, but no. Really, you can't even give me an interesting player? Look, right, the alternative is I just cut him and we soak the salary, which is probably not great. I probably just need to find somebody else to send down to the minors. Um, do I trade Steve Peralta? Only prospects from though, because I want to free up the roster spot. I'm getting some decent offers here. I can live with these. Castro's not a bad player, but I'm not. I don't think I'm that interested in that. Benatendi, lame. Eric Mattingly, lame. But I guess Eric Mattingly is the least bad choice so far. Then there's actually somebody who actually has a reasonably good skill of hitting for power. I actually think that DeAngelis is probably the best fit so far. Look at Arturo Flores. He's not far away from being a useful starting pitcher. Those don't exactly grow on trees. Or Guadalupe Romero is even better. Could I get Romero and Flores? Is that asking for too much? Maybe, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to finish today, and we're going to see. What if I offered you Sean Mintz? You got pretty shitty cat. You got pretty shitty catchers. You've got really shitty catchers. Maybe Sean Mintz is enough of a deal for you. I'm going to submit the offer again. Really? Man, you're wanting like genuinely good prospects. I mean, you can have Tassie. I don't want him anyway. That's fine. Which means that Mr. Stock here is going to get to make the team, which is fine. How many pitchers now? I have 13 pitchers. That's as low as I'm willing to go. I'm not going to go lower than 13. Position players. First of all, Joe Stock. Welcome to the Oakland A's. Um, any scouting changes here? You actually got worse, full sir. So you're going back to the minors. Spalding, any changes? You actually got slightly better. I'm going to come back to first base. I'm only going to keep at most 2, but I want to see what I'm going to decide for the other positions. All right, Jamie Cornell goes to the IL. So very clearly, the best possible second baseman I can have is Chris Hughes. And I think Chris Hughes is going to make the team regardless. So I think we're going to go ahead and give him a roster spot. Congratulations, Chris Hughes. I think Espinosa goes to the minors. I think Carrillo goes to the minors. Flanagan goes to the minors. I have a bunch of mid outfielders. Let's start working through some of them. McCullough, no. Ibarra, no. Greg, unclear at the moment. Trudell, I'm going to go ahead and trade you. See if I can get something interesting for you. You're just not a very good player. I mean, hell yeah, I'll happily take an elite relieving prospect. Like, I won't even stop. Jeremy Deacons would be a phenomenal addition to this club's future, so done. They're extremely big suckers. It is known. Okay. Steve Seward has never played in AAA. I think he needs to learn in AAA before we give him a bigger opportunity than that. Brandon Bass, I think, has to go to the minors. So got to with 3 more players. I saw an excessive amount of outfielders, a truly excessive number of outfielders. I think Esquivias also has to go to the minors, and that's also a no-brainer. I don't like how Luis Navarro has me over a barrel that every year he gets to keep making a team because I just need another center fielder. What if we did something wild? And instead of doing that, we actually promoted Brandon Bays. And we waived the. I'm going to try that. Fuck it. I'd like to try to get a little bit more out of my bench. I mean, I guess I could trade him. I didn't even think of trying to trade him. I didn't think anyone would want him. And they don't. But yeah, I just think it makes sense to go ahead and give a young player an opportunity. And the guy has crushed it in the minor leagues. And I would like having a nice power bat off the bench who can handle all the outfield positions. Plus, he adds more leadership. I just think Brandon Bays is the answer to that particular question. Still got to get rid of one position player, which, as I predicted, means it's going to be a first baseman. Marco gets to stay. That is a given. That is a thing that is happening. The question is whether Rice or Spalding gets that final spot. Man, I don't feel great about it being Rice, but I don't see that Spalding is better. Like, Spalding could be better. Definitely a possibility. It is a possibility that Mike Spalding could be a better hitter than Brad Rice. If you just hit for a higher average, you'd be one of the better first basemen, but alas, you don't. But I think Spalding's got an even worse hit tool. You know what? Spalding goes to the minors. This is the final roster. Unless we want to keep another infielder up. Which we do. I need another infielder, which I think is going to be Carrillo. Which means it's either Rice or Marfo. I want to try Marfo. I want to see what he can do in the major leagues where he's hit so well in the minors. So it's going to be Brad Rice to start off the year. It's going to go to the minor leagues. And then we're going to see where that takes us. I apparently gutted most of the roster. Like, this is apparently not at all how the game expected this would turn out. Let us go ahead and get our depth charts set up. Andy Gregg hitting leadoff seems like a really stupid fucking idea. We'll figure it out, but that seems like a really bad idea. Absolutely not. You are starting Nelson Vigil. It is his year. He is starting every single second of every single day. You stop that game right now. Like, our success is going to come with Nelson Vigil proving that he can succeed in the major leagues. He's got nothing left to prove, so you will instantly cease your trying to play Sergio Carrillo. Done. Um, and then the pitching side I think is already fixed up, so that's pretty good. And let's live up to opening day, and then we will break down what it looks like for the opening day Oakland A's. Okay. I have nobody in the top 10. I'm sure Vigil is still like in the top 20. Oh, he's not even in the top 20 anymore. What did he graduate? Yikes. We have the worst, second worst farm system in the major leagues. That's gross. That's really gross. We've been so good for so long that we've never had an opportunity to really get a quality. We've never had an opportunity to get a quality. I want my team and organization, please. There you go. I had a thing I was saying and I forgot it. But we've never bottomed out, which means we've never had the chance to pick early in the draft. We've always been really good consistently, which has hurt our ability to get prospects. So that's not a great look for us. But there's a fair bit of change in this lineup. We have, I don't know why Stock is starting over Armstrong, but I can live with that. We have Stock, Hughes, Vigil, Marfo, and Greg, all of whom did not start last season. Greg was a reserve outfielder. Marfo wasn't on the team. Hughes and Stock and Vigil weren't on the opening day roster. There's a lot of turnover on the roster. Here's the good news. We still have Sean DeWitt. Sam Laws is the next great Oakland outfielder. He's already had a pretty solid career for us, and I think he'll do even better in the future. I think there's a ton of upside with Vigil, and I think he's going to be the key this season. Of all the position players on this roster, if Nelson Vigil has a good season, I think we're going to see a pretty successful year all told. Don't sleep on Dan Bays. Dan Bays' calling card is his defense, but he does have another gear offensively. If he could turn in a better offensive year, I think he'd be a pretty valuable piece to our future success. I don't love the idea of starting Joe Stock, but if he works well with the pitching staff, I am more than willing to give him that opportunity if that's what it seems like works best for the team. Marfo is, of all the players on this roster, probably the one I have the least faith in. However, he has destroyed AAA pitching. And let's remember, he didn't play in the Pacific Coast League. He played in the International League and had a pretty great career. So I think giving him a chance to succeed in the major leagues is a worthwhile endeavor. We can at least give him that shot. There isn't an easy out in this lineup, except for possibly Bays and maybe Chris Hughes. Bringing back Oakland's legend Chris Hughes feels strange, but I'm down for it. And at the worst case scenario, with Cornell is healthy and ready to come back, he's either a really good reserve or Hughes is a really good reserve. And I wanted more depth on my bench this season because I think the last couple of seasons we've kind of punted on the bench, and I think it's really shown as the season has progressed. Player not listed on the roster that I think could be a sneaky key component to big successes is going to be Brandon Bays. If Bays can improve this season, and he is making a gigantic jump, That is no. He's shooting all the way from A ball, where he had a pretty good season, to the major leagues. But he provides leadership, and I think if he is able to work on his offensive talents a little bit, I think he could be a pretty solid player. We need to do something drastic to improve our successes, and I think that one makes sense. Mike Jacober is fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's a critical piece of this lineup, but he's whatever. DH is certainly near we could potentially upgrade at. Jeff Cleveland is probably going to get some reps at some point during the season, and I'm here for him getting that opportunity. We have a ton of leaders on this team, which is a really good sign. We have 3 captains, I think, at least 3. So the lineup seems my expectation is top half of the AL. That's what I'm looking for, with the potential of a couple of players hitting that much better and taking us over the hump. That's the lineup. The rotation, holy fucking shit, this rotation. I don't think we've ever had a more talented pitching staff from top to bottom than we do right now. They're all terrible hitters, but that's not what I'm looking for. Pitching ratings, here we go. Like, consider every one of our starting pitchers is a good pitcher. And 3 of them still have room to get better. Ellie, Edwards, and Rivera are all in a position where they could continue to improve. And I think we have enough depth to soak a couple of injuries. If there was any one player that struck me as expendable in the rotation or bullpen, it is Diviney. I think Diviney is a fine starting pitcher, but he's not a good reliever because he doesn't have the stuff to make it work. So we'll see what happens. I think it's very bold taking Pamphile out of the closer spot. I don't know that that's the best idea, but as long as he's contributing in a positive way, I'm more than happy to let him pitch wherever he feels most comfortable. And Bardaws is going to get paid a lot in arbitration, but that's fine. I find it curious we've never let Bruxton May start. I'm not unhappy about that because we have him for an incredibly cheap side, but the fact we've never even considered starting him is really bizarre to me. Like, even when there's been injuries in the rotation, we just refuse to start him, which is fine, I guess, but that is kind of funny. I bet Pamphile probably ends up as the closer at some point, especially if Bardales gets hurt. Let's talk the future, though, before we end this episode. There are some free agents on this roster. There are some pending free agents. And some that don't even show up on the roster yet. I did put them on the... I did, okay. I think our next big decision is going to be RJ Edwards. I truly think he's going to be the next serious decision we have to make about the future of the team. We have a lot of money invested in Mike Davey and Bobby Stoll. And I think that's justified for now, but I wouldn't mind getting another couple of cheap starters to see what they could accomplish given the opportunity. The interesting bet is, do we try to either lock up Mike Ellie or Nelson Vigil now? I don't think the answer out of one of those questions is yes. I need Ellie to stay healthy for a season. Like, as good as his rookie campaign was, the fact he blew out his arm so soon into it when he hadn't even thrown that many innings is troubling, and it is something we're going to have to monitor quite closely. But then again, he's a lefty who throws 96 miles an hour, which is fucking insane. He is an absolute mad lad, and I'm appreciative of that for sure. But I think RJ Edwards is going to have to be a difficult conversation sooner rather than later. We have the money to keep him. It's just a question of is he worth keeping? Let's not miss sight of something here. He has had one very good season, one okay season, and then one limited season. He's also only 23, so the sky is quite literally the limit for him. If he ends up being one of the best starting pitchers in the major leagues, obviously I'll pay him. Obviously. But that doesn't mean there's no question marks there. I love having the veteran leadership of having both Bobby Stoll and Mike Davey in the rotation. And Bobby Stoll is one of the better stories we've had with the Oakland A's. Second round draft pick who was initially selected to be a reliever, did a pretty good job of it. We tried him in the rotation in 2038, and he's been a mainstay ever since. 20 WAR doesn't sound like much, and it's not, but it's one of the better starting pitchers we've had in recent memory. Which is possibly a condemnation, but I'll let you judge that one. Sam Laws could opt out of his contract. And in fact, I'd be pretty surprised if he did. It's possible that he doesn't. I'd be happy if he doesn't, but I'm pretty sure he's going to opt out. He would probably earn easily double or triple that on the open market if he were so inclined. We'll adjust as we need to. Pamphilia's contract might hurt. It might hurt, especially if it stops us from keeping Bardales too. But we'll figure out how that works out in the end. I'd still like another superstar hitter. That might come from Nelson Vigil, though. No pressure, kid, but there is so much riding on your shoulders. If you develop, you're going to be one of the best players in Oakland A's history. Especially recent history, but maybe of all time. If you don't develop, it's not the end of the world, but it would really, really suck. But he did hit in the Pacific Coast League quite effectively. And there's enough to like about Vigil that I had to give him this opportunity. I had to just give him the starting job and see what he could figure out. He is not a long-term third baseman. He is not a long-term third baseman. That is his downside. And so, he might shift over to first base over time. I'm comfortable if that happens if he hits the way he should hit. But this has to be a good year for him. He has hit up and down the minor leagues, apart from a very brief speed bump at AAA 2 seasons ago, which he easily made up for. My man has the track record. It's just a case of making good in the major leagues. How often are we benching Vigil for Korea? Hopefully never. Yeah, never. We've got a solid bench. We don't have any pinch runners, which I thought was funny. That is kind of odd, but whatever. Yeah. We're not going to win any home run derbies, I don't think. But as long as we have Sean DeWitt leading this offense and everyone else filling in around him, I think we'll have a good year. The one piece to this roster I do not like is Andy Gregg. We are staking an awful lot on his ability to hit for contact again, like he did last year in limited playing time. Maybe that's a fair thing to suggest. Maybe he actually is that good, and he'll end up being a pretty decent leadoff hitter. But I'm hoping that our manager is smart enough to move him around if it turns out he's not hitting at a decent level. I don't like our on-base skills here. That is something I am concerned about. Probably something you need to start selecting for a little bit more when I'm looking for new players. That said, some of the players who have bad plate discipline right now actually have really high futures, and so they might very quickly end up being pretty good ones. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting season. Pardon me. But I think it's going to be a good one. I think I think we're the favorites in the AL West. I think that's the case pretty much every season. And provided, knock on wood, provided we get some high quality injury luck, I think our rotation can stand up to anybody's, especially with continued development from RJ Edwards and Mike Ellie. Like a hard throwing left handed pitcher is such a rare thing to find in Major League Baseball that if Ellie works out, we're talking about one of the best pitchers in the history of the Oakland A's. And I don't think I'm exaggerating too much. But like the elite velocity left-handed pitchers are just such a rare thing. Like Steve Carlton's and Randy Johnson's don't grow on trees. They just don't. So a guy like Ellie has such a bright future that I'm probably cursing him to like have both of his arms explode. But we'll see what happens. Friends, I hope you've enjoyed the series thus far. If you have, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this version of the Oakland A's. Do we think that they're going to be competitive? Do we think that they're already too far behind the eight ball? Who knows? Until next time, my friends, this has been Av Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you